Hello. This week we're talking about Orientalism, and I'm going to touch base on a couple of questions that I posted earlier, as well as some things that we were talking about. Um, so, first, define Orientalism. I never really understood what Orientalism. I've heard it plenty of times growing up, but I never really understood what it actually meant. To tell you the truth, when I thought of Orientalism, when I heard Orientalism, I thought of things like the Asian culture, China, mostly. Females covered up with a lot of clothing. I think of spicy exotic foods. I think of strange. I think of different. But I've never really actually, I know we were talking about Islam and Middle East a little bit too, and that is it counts as Orientalism, I guess, and the East is part of the East, obviously. But I never really thought of that as Oriental or Orientalism, or grouped together. More groups, like I said, the Asian culture and the Chinese culture. But I'm hoping to change that, obviously, and that bias and that thought, and that's what I think Orientalism actually is, and what can be how it can be defined is the common the gathered ideas and common beliefs of us Westerners and our Western culture about the characteristics and the culture of the East is what Orientalism. I think it's more than just stereotypes, like Syed says, and it's more of just like all of the beliefs and all of the ideas and everything that we think of when we think about Orientals and we think about the Eastern culture is Orientalism. That's what I think. That's what I kind of took from the reading, is what he defined it to be. Um, so education and Orientalism and education growing up here in America, it's you don't really learn anything about the Eastern culture until you get to college and you actually get professors who have been there for years and researched these topics for years and decades, and they've been over there, experienced the culture, experienced speaking with these people and learning about them for decades. And that's when you learn the truth, and you learn about that without some kind of bias or opinions. You learn the straight facts. And I think that's when we start to kick that idea of Orientalism and realize, when we take these classes and more knowledge ourselves, obviously, or educate ourselves, I'm sorry, about that culture a lot more. But because in grade school and high school, we don't have those teachers that spent their whole college studying just that specific culture, just that specific area. You have more of the broad sense of education teachers, and when they do are forced to teach that stuff, it's something that they don't know. So why are we teaching something that we aren't positive, and we are letting people teach something that they are not very educated on? It's bad for our youth, and it's putting ideas like this Orientalism in our head. And especially when we're young, our minds are like sponges and they get molded so easily. So when we get these ideas from these people that we look up to, our teachers, where we are supposed to trust, and everyone tells us to trust them, they don't really know what they're talking about, and it causes a lot of problems. So that's why it also brings up the idea in the book, in the readings, that authority must be analyzed always. Like we've grew up thinking authority, we always have to listen to them, and whatever they say goes. But we have to analyze them more, I believe, and try to be more interested in where we're getting these ideas, where is this coming from? How do you know specifically where this is coming from? So what else I got here for us? Yeah, that's just the problem. I think that's the big problem in education, and like also this, or the fact that Orientalism is just based off representation, and how we base it off of what people look like and what people do, and it kind of generalize over generalizations. which is, causing problems too, and this bias and this false these false characteristics of this culture that we are generalizing as a whole. So that's hopefully that gives you something to chew on a little bit. I'll be posting some more questions soon here, so keep up the discussion. Thanks.